right, good afternoon. We now reconvene open session, and we will start the afternoon with a student liaison report from Anna Stiles of Western University of Health Sciences. Anna? Moderator, I think Anna's online.
This is the moderator. Give me just a moment, please.
2 o'clock.
All right, we should have Anna with us. Anna?
Hi, can you hear me okay?
You're good to go?
Awesome. All right, let me just get set up here. Okay. Good morning, or sorry, afternoon, members of the board. Since my last report in January, Western U College of Veterinary Medicine students have been kind of recovering from the impact of the wildfires that broke out in January. I just mentioned because I'm impressed by my fellow students and their ability to kind of harness the power of the community in times of hardship, whilst also dealing with veterinary school. And with that, I'd like to start by discussing just some of the changes and current topics of interest amongst the students, and then I'll follow it by highlighting some recent examples of outreach that have been significant for us. And so with that, the college is in like a period of transition. We have a new like associate dean of academic affairs, and so some curriculum adjustments have been made and are being discussed. One change that I wanted to quickly mention was just the addition of a specially focused dentistry component to the third year surgery and anesthesia courses. That will go into effect for my third year, so academic year 2025-2026. And then, sorry. I think what's been going on mostly for students, or what has been kind of in the forefront in their minds, is kind of anxieties about watching what's happening at like the federal administrative level, and then also in other states as well. And so again, I know that's not within the board's realm or control, but I think it's significant just to mention that these things are on their mind. Students are attuned to changes happening with the recent change in federal administration, and it's created some anxiety, mostly because there's a sense of like unease and uncertainty regarding careers for veterinarians in government, especially regarding public health. Students interested in public health, pandemic response, natural resource and wildlife issues. They're kind of wondering how their, potential like future career in those avenues might be affected, and to what extent. And they're also, it's not also just, what we're reading from where we are, but in our like veterinary issues class, the second year students were supposed to be visited by a guest speaker who's a veterinarian with the Bureau of Ocean Energy Management, and it was kind of vague, probably on by intention, but they were unable to visit. The reason cited was just that federal employees of the executive branch of government have been facing significant challenges during the recent like change in administration. So students were expressing their discouragement, that their ability to connect with veterinarians in different career avenues was hindered. There's also stress and anxiety about like questions regarding federal funding for loans and scholarships and grants and stuff like that. There's also a sense among the students, again, I bring it up because I think it relates to the recent conversations about chiropractors and physical therapists and that kind of crossover. But students are a little they just have questions about the prospect of like this mid-level practitioner position. I know that's a whole other conversation, but again, just to kind of give the board a sense of what students are thinking about and talking about. They're wondering, just with the recent developments in Colorado, there are mixed opinions on that. But more events and action wise, we recently had a group of students work with a local community-based farm called Lopez Urban Farm. They teach the community about how to sustainably grow and produce food, and they're kind of associated with the Pomona Unified School District. So they have a farm, they have a few small goats, and so some students were able to kind of establish that connection, teach kids about components of physical exams and farm animal health in general, especially when it comes to like biosecurity. That farm also has a food pantry available to the public, and so our students were able to essentially set up a like pet food pantry, like section of that food pantry. So we're excited about that connection and getting to kind of bridge both the the human and environment aspects with the animal health aspects. And then we had our recent our annual open house where members of the public can come and learn about not only our school and our program, but the veterinary profession as a whole. I think they had almost like 2,000 visitors come to campus, people of all ages. And there was, people come year after year and have a good time. And it was just recently, but it sounds like that's what happened again this year. And then I just wanted to finish by saying that, at Western U, like we learn in the community, we form partnerships with others in the profession and in diverse areas of the profession. And so I encourage veterinarians to like reach out to explore ways that they can participate. There's a range of ways, whether it's labs to third-year clinical experiences to fourth-year rotation sites. And we welcome anyone from all corners, especially lab animal medicine, wildlife medicine, and large animal areas. And so we look forward to working with those in the community to increase our network of connections and opportunities. And that concludes my report for today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anna. And thank you for giving us an insight on like the experiences of our future veterinarians and, knowing how engagement with community is a big thing for students at Western, because I feel like that is important, that we also continue to have a pulse for what the community has to offer and what we can offer as veterinarians. So that's great. Any other comments from other board members?
Yeah.
Dr.
Yeah,
Grant?
and it's Barry Grant. I was impressed with your level of the current situation. I've found that your language is extremely diplomatic in bringing out the current problems. I'm impressed that students these days, I'm trying to remember back when I was a veterinary student, all we cared about was the football score and who got a case of Coors Light brought in. I think this is a marked improvement, and keep up the good work.
Thank you. Yes, that's why, I mention it because it is on top of the just general load of veterinary, being in a veterinary program. So I'm similarly impressed with my classmates, that they're able to uh, kind of juggle these different things and kind of hold space for both of them, because I think there's obviously the more direct issues of, like, if had wanted a career in the federal government, like, what is that, what might that look like for you now? But even just more generally, I'm impressed with my classmates, so I wanted to highlight that.
All right, any other comments? Since there are no indication of any desire for any board member to make a comment, we would like to open up the student liaison report for public comment. Nobody is in the room. So moderator, could you please open it up for our participants online?
We are open for public comment via WebEx. If you'd like to make a comment on the student liaison report, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users dial *3 to raise your hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. For our mobile device users, that means you may need to hit the ellipses button, the ... and cycle through the 3 different pages in order to find your hand. People will be given 3 minutes to speak, and I'll give you a 15-second warning before your time expires. We're going to take just a few more seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request for public comment, do you wish to continue with the agenda?
Yes, please, thank you. All right, moving on to agenda item 18, which is my president's report. I would like to start with the update on the sunset hearing that was held on March 3rd. So the California Veterinary Medical Board participated in the sunset hearing on March 3rd, 2025. Prior to this hearing on February 28th, the CVMB executive team engaged in a mock hearing with the Department of Consumer Affairs leadership. This session was crucial in preparing our team to address key issues and respond effectively during the formal hearing. And I really would like to extend our thanks to the DCA leadership for, giving us that opportunity to really calm our nerves and prepare, for the possibilities of like challenging questions. So it helped a lot. Okay, during the sunset hearing, we did a CVMB report, which included the following: licensing process improvements. The board fully implemented an interface with the American Association of Veterinary State Boards, AAVSB, to receive electronic examination results for veterinarians and registered veterinary technicians directly into the BREEZE system. This eliminated manual data entry and streamlined the licensing process. We also reported the advocacy for veterinary technician exam access. The board successfully advocated for the change of the AAVSB's longstanding policy, allowing veterinary technician students to sit for the national exam. This policy shift has provided students with more job opportunities and faster entry into the profession. We also reported the continuous national exam access and faster score reporting. In partnership with the AAVSB, the board secured continuous availability of the national exam and reduced retake waiting times. Additionally, the time for score reporting has been reduced from up to 6 weeks to under 1 week. About the enhanced enforcement and inspections, the board expanded its enforcement team and added consultants to streamline the case review process. This has resulted in a significant increase in closed complaints, faster cycle times, and reduced SME costs. Merging the inspection and enforcement units also led to a 343% increase in inspection and a 262% increase in closed complaints in the last fiscal year. We also reported a technology for inspections, wherein the board in collaboration with the Board of Barbering and Cosmetology, received a $600,000 grant for a mobile inspection application, which launched in November 2024. This app is expected to streamline the inspection process for licensees, inspectors, and staff. Educational webinars. The board now hosts regular webinars on enforcement, inspections, DA processes, and other topics requested by the profession. And lastly, the strategic plan progress. The CVMB completed its 2024 strategic plan ahead of schedule and has already completed over half of the tasks outlined in the new 2024-2028 strategic plan. So big shout out for our executive team. Our board staff. So Jessica and her team. Now, the concern brought about by the BNP committee members. One concern was regarding the services provided to animals by human health care professionals. The CVMB reiterated its openness to collaboration, but emphasized the necessity of veterinary oversight for animal welfare. We also informed them of the integrative veterinary services, which is now part of some veterinary school curriculum. Another concern was the owner exemptions for veterinary care of pets. We acknowledged concerns about owners' ability to provide care to their owned animals, especially in the rural areas where veterinary services can be scarce. The CVMB expressed its commitment to finding balanced solutions while continuing to uphold its mission to protect consumers and animals. And the last concern was the unavailability of certain medications. We highlighted ongoing discussions with the Board of Pharmacy to address medication access issues, especially compounded medications. The CVMB president and executive officer at the CVMA Board of Governors. So I and Jessica were invited and attended 2 CVMA Board of Governors meetings. Our executive officer updated the association on the following: board focus areas, discussed ongoing efforts to improve veterinary care, regulatory compliance, and professional collaboration. Also about upcoming legislative work, where she shared key legislative issues that the board is monitoring, emphasizing proactive engagement in shaping policies that impact the profession. Concerns affecting the CVMB addressed issues such as medication access, enforcement improvements, and maintaining veterinary oversight in animal care. The meeting fostered a valuable dialogue with CVMA members and reinforced our shared commitment to advancing veterinary standards. I also want to share with everyone that your executive committee, which includes me as president and Ms. Pawlowski as vice president, continues to meet every other week with our executive officer to stay apprised of the internal board activities. We also have met whenever necessary outside of the regularly scheduled call. In February 19, there was a board president's training through DCA, which I attended. This training served as a forum to share best practices and to hear from past presidents about their experiences presiding over a board. As president, I also attended the DCA Directors Leadership Meeting in March. Topics discussed included updates on DCA's executive team, agency reorganization, efficiency drills, a reiteration of DCA and Board Consumers Protection Mission, DCA LA fire response, the sunset reviews and reminders for the Form 700. And I am pleased to announce that our board, including MDC members, Wellness Evaluation Committee members, and board staff, had 100% compliance by the April 1 filing deadline. Thank you, everyone, for filing your Form 700. In conclusion, as your president, I want to report that the board remains committed to enhancing consumer protection, improving veterinary care, and ensuring efficient operations. We look forward to continuing our work with stakeholders and addressing concerns raised during the sunset hearing, while also moving forward with our legislative priorities and strategic objectives. Lastly, I would like to formally announce that Dr. Barry Grant has made the decision to not seek reappointment. His term ends June 2025, and this is his last board meeting. We are deeply grateful for the time, dedication, and invaluable contributions Dr. Grant has made throughout his tenure. His leadership and insights have played a key role in shaping our direction, and we wish him continued success in all of his future endeavors. In light of this change, I have decided to step in and temporarily assume Dr. Grant's responsibilities as board liaison to the MDC, including his work with the Unlicensed Practice Subcommittee. I am fully committed to ensuring the continued success and progress of this important work, and I will keep everyone informed of any developments as we move forward. And that concludes my report. Public comment?
Yeah.
Okay.
Board questions.
Oh, board, do we have any questions from any board member? Oh, Dr. Bradbury.
Of course. That was a great report. Thank you, Dr. Solicito. I just wanted to also thank Dr. Grant for his time, his commitment, his openness to hearing all sides. And I just feel so lucky that we've had you for the time we have. I wish you could stay, but totally understand why you're not. And yeah, you've just done an amazing job, and your contributions have really shaped some of the policy, and I think also bridged some divides that were amongst us. And I just want to thank you. Nice job.
It's been an honor to be part of the board for the last 3 years. It's even after all these years, an old dog can learn a few new tricks and meet some nice new friends, and have admiration for the professionalism of the rest of the board, and especially the board staff too. It's been a great experience for me. I kind of wish I would have started 20 years ago so I could expand on it. But thanks again. I'll think of you when I'm having it, the Blood Red Orange margarita.
All right, so moderator, could you please open up our line for our participants remotely?
We are open for public comment on the President's report. If you'd like to make a comment, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users, dial *3 to raise your hand. And don't forget, mobile device users, you may need to hit the ellipses button. That's the ... We're going to take a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment.
Yes, okay, thank you.
Seeing no request for public comment, do you wish to continue with the agenda?
Yes, please. All right, so we are actually going to skip an item and go with agenda item 20 and I think Dr. Nunez is going to be the one presenting, so moderator.
Dr. Nunez, do you have 2 profiles logged in?
I don't think so.
Just one mobile device? No additional computer?
I don't think I do.
All right,
Okay.
perfect. Thank you so much.
Can you hear and see me?
Yes, you're good to go.
Okay. Well, just my name is Dr. Mark Nunez. I am currently a member of the MDC. I was previously a member of the Veterinary Medical Board for 9 years. So nice to see you all. I have also served as past president of the California Veterinary Medical Association and past president of the Southern California Veterinary Medical Association Just in case some of you don't know who I am. I'm here today in my capacity as a board of director member of the American Association of Veterinary State Boards. Dr. Grant, it has only been less than a year since I've been able to serve with you, but it was an honor and a privilege, and I wish you well, and I'm going to take you up on your invitation to go see some racehorses. That should be fun. Dr. Solicito, I am envious that you had mock sunset hearing um, opportunities because I had to do it cold turkey, so I'm envious of that. And just so you know, I did file my Form 700 on April 1st. So I did make the deadline, but that's all that counts. um, Also, since there's some new board members that I have not met, I know that you probably have heard of the AAVSB, but I just wanted to give you a brief introduction on exactly who the AAVSB is and what we do and why it's important for California to be engaged with them. The American Association of Veterinary State Boards is a voluntary association comprised of 63 member jurisdictions. So that's not all 50 states of the United States, and not all 13 provinces of Canada, but a vast majority of them. Um, the organization is directed by a board of directors. There are 10 board of directors, 4 officers, and 6 directors at large, elected by the General Assembly at the annual meeting and conference. The General Assembly is a representative of all the 63 member jurisdictions. Our current board of directors is made up of representatives from New York, Nevada, Saskatchewan, District of Columbia, Ohio, California, Oklahoma, Kansas, North Carolina, and Nova Scotia. So two representatives from the west side of the country, 2 from Canada, and most of the rest from back east to the Midwest. So we need good representation. We need volunteers. The AAVSB, our purpose is to ensure and enhance the welfare of the public and animals. Our mission is to support and advance regulatory medicine regulation. That's why we exist and why we do what we do. We're probably most known for developing the VTNE examination. That's the licensing exam that is accepted by those jurisdictions that actually license RVTs, and it's very similar to the National Veterinary Examination, where it's practice evaluation is sent out, and they do that every 5 years or so, and hire all the exam service people to make sure it's a fair test, and that's what we're most known for. But there are other programs and services that we offer that help various regulatory bodies throughout the nation. California is a big state, and we do most of the things ourselves, but there's plenty of services that are essential not only to the member boards, but also to the licensees, the DVM licensees, RVT licensees, and so forth. Viva, Dr. Solicito had mentioned that a little bit. That's the Veterinary Information Verification Agency. That is a central depository of licensee information, educational credentials, where they've been licensed, any disciplinary actions, all the things that member boards would need to know when they're considering granting a license to an applicant. There's another program called VAULT, which is the Veterinary Application for Uniform Transfer, that is a secure method of quickly transferring all that information electronically and securely and is accepted by most of the jurisdictions. California was very early participant of these programs, and it really helped with the success of that. AAVSP also runs RACE, the Registry of Approved Continuing Education. Most of the jurisdictions have educational requirements that are RACE approved. And so there's a lot of programs that are submitted, a lot, thousands, that are looked at and determined if it's appropriate continuing education for the audience that it's being applied to, RBTs, DVMs, and so forth. Racetrack is an online service that you can track your CE hours. These days, it's getting more and more sophisticated, where, especially at the big conferences like Western States, where you can wear a badge that electronically um, knows that you've entered into a lecture hall and then knows when you've left the lecture hall, and automatically just transmits your CE hours to the central database that the member boards have access to, um, with the goal of ultimately having 100% audit of all licensees every year, since it will be so easy one day. PAVE, the program for veterinary assessment, program for the assessment of veterinary equivalence. That's for the non-AVMA accredited programs that veterinarians go to in foreign countries to determine their eligibility to sit for a licensing examination. PAVE offers a program to determine their educational equivalency, similar to what AVMA does with their program, which is escaping me right now because I'm on stage. SPA is state and provincial assessments. That's the jurisprudence examinations for various boards. There are others, but that's just an example of some of the services we do. The AAVSB also puts on various educational and networking events. Our biggest event is the annual meeting and conference, which is coming up in the fall, September 17th to the 20th, in Cincinnati, Ohio, where it's like any veterinary conference you would go to, except all we talk about is regulatory issues. So it's a great educational opportunity. AVSB also offers board basics and beyond. New board members throughout these jurisdictions. This is an educational opportunity on how to be an effective board member. And then for the executive directors, there's two programs, Vet Board Connect and the Spring Summit, that just has an opportunity for all the executive directors to come together, talk about the issues of the day, and have a grand time. The AVSB also produces various documents that regulatory bodies can use to help their regulatory efforts. Probably the most known one is the Model Practice Act, that the thought is that various jurisdictions, not California, because California does most everything on its own, can potentially cut and paste certain portions of the Practice Act. Say, for example, if they're going to start to allow telemedicine and it needs to go into their Practice Act, there's a section in the Model Practice Act that can be cut and pasted into their Practice Act. It's past all the legal requirements and research and so forth. Some examples of other model documents that have been produced by the AAVSB: Veterinary Medicine and Veterinary Technology Practice Act model, model regulations, appropriate use of opioids, guidance document for CBD use on companion animals. There's a Canada version and a United States version. Model regulations, establishment and maintenance of a veterinary client-patient relationship. Model regulations, scope of practice for veterinary technicians and veterinary technologists. Model regulation, telehealth and virtual practice of veterinary medicine and veterinary technology, model regulation safe haven program. Our latest document, which was released just last month, I'll read the news briefing for you. The American Association of Veterinary State Boards, in conjunction with volunteer working groups comprised of subject matter experts, regulatory board members and staff, private practitioners, and industry leaders, has produced this white paper, Regulatory Considerations of the Use of Artificial Intelligence in Veterinary Medicine. This paper examines the regulatory considerations of AI use in veterinary medicine. As AI and other emerging technologies become more widely adopted, the need arises for clear guidance from regulatory bodies on its responsible use to protect patients and the public. After thorough analysis and discussion on this expansive and still evolving topic, the AAVSB provides a position statement as follows. The American Association of Veterinary State Boards, AAVSB, supports innovation. We recognize the potential benefits that artificial intelligence, AI, and other emerging technologies may offer the veterinary profession. However, licensees must understand the risk and limitations of AI to protect the standard of patient care and prevent unlicensed practices. They must also maintain full transparency regarding AI use, safeguard client data privacy, and when appropriate, obtain informed consent for the use of AI. And the paper is free to access if you go onto the AAVSB website, which is aavsb.org. And you can find that and all the other model documents there and lots of other resources. As I mentioned, it is a volunteer association, so all of the committees are comprised of volunteers, and we are always looking for volunteers. So I invite any and all of the members of the board and MDC and our groupies that follow us to get involved. Again, at the AAVSB website, there's a section to put your name down as an interest to be a volunteer. The various committees that are established at AAVSB are the following: Executive Director Advisory Committee. You kind of have to be an executive director to be on that one. Nominating Committee, Finance Committee, Race Committee, Bylaws and Resolutions Committee, Conference Committee, Student Outreach Task Force, VT&E Committee, Pay for Veterinarians Committee, Leadership Development Committee, Regulatory Policy Committee, and our latest task force that was created this year is the Global Initiative Task Force that are volunteer opportunities. Of course, one of the biggest issues these days is Colorado's Proposition 129, the veterinary practice associate licensing category that was recently elected into existence by the people of Colorado. There was strong opposition from AVMA on this, and previously the AAVSB had sent out a survey to licensees on whether or not the community felt that this was the right route to go. The results of that survey did not support that there was support for it. So the AAVSB did not actively pursue that happening, but it happened. The people of Colorado voted for it, and the regulatory body in Colorado needed to start to make it happen. Legislation is thrown upon us, and it's left to the regulators to make it work. I always rely back onto the wise words of Dr. Sullivan. In any of these issues, you're either at the table or you're on the menu. And so AAVSB felt that as long as this was happening, we would be an obvious resource to help develop the regulations, all the regulatory aspects of a new licensing category. qualifications, duties, educational and clinical requirements, licensing examinations, CE requirements, all of those things. So that's one of the major projects that's going on right now at AAVSB. And the last thing that I would say is, again, our annual meeting and conference is coming up September 17th to 20 in Cincinnati, Ohio. There is a funded delegate program, so AAVSB pays for a delegate, which is usually our board president, and an alternate delegate, which is somebody else. I think Jessica's would fall under a committee member, so there's plenty of opportunities for us to have a big group in Cincinnati, Ohio. I've never been. I think there's a radio station there. Also, there is a funded legal counsel program, so I would love to see Tara come to Cincinnati. Whenever Jessica walks into the room, she is a rock star because she is the executive director of the largest veterinary medical board in the nation. And I'm sure that Tara would be just as big of a rock star in a big event like that. If she can come, it'd be great to see her there. I also have heard some rumors that there will be 2 nominations. One nomination for director at large. I think that is Christina Bradbury, which we support, of course. And there's also a nomination for president-elect, another fellow from California, which would be me. So we need all the support we can get. And that's my report. I'm open for questions.
Thank you so much, Dr. Nunez. And, listening to you, I just realized, I don't think a lot of veterinarians recognize the significance of AAVSB in how the practice of veterinary medicine is being defined. And so you're right. We have to be actively participating, or else we will be on the menu.
Mhm.
So, yeah, and I really applaud you. You guys are very brave, especially you and Jessica. I know the challenges that you have been having, and I guess, yeah, you just are like a strong presence and voice, and that is greatly appreciated, not just by Californians, but I think of all veterinarians, throughout the nation. So,
Thank you.
anybody?
Jessica won't let me quit. I keep asking her. She won't let me quit.
No?
That's correct.
All right. Any comments from our board members? Yeah, nothing. All right, so we would like to open up the agenda for public comment. There's nobody in the room, so moderator, could you please open up the line for folks participating remotely?
All right, we are open for public comment on the presentation you just heard from Dr. Nunez. If you'd like to make a comment, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users, dial *3 to raise your hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take just a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request, you wish to continue with the agenda?
Yes, please. Thank you. All right, the next item on our agenda is the registered veterinary technician report to be presented by our Vice President, Ms. Pawlowski.
Okay. Very quickly, I will just update everybody, just some things, VT&E wise. We've been busy writing new exam questions, and then we travel in June to Louisville for an in-person meeting. So we will be there, and I believe, I'm not sure, I think we will be going to the Cincinnati meeting because we usually have another one, another in-person meeting at the end of the year. So that's my update for RVTs, because there's been a lot on our agenda for RVTs.
All right, thank you. Again, we would like to open up the agenda for public comment. So moderator, could you please open up the line?
We are open for public comment on agenda item 19. If you'd like to make a comment, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users dial *3 to raise your hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request, you wish to continue with the agenda?
Yes, thank you. All right, so we're moving on to agenda number 21, the update, discussion, and possible action regarding the board's logo. How are we going to go about this? Oh, okay, Justin's going to be presenting it.
Okay, so update, discussion, and possible action regarding the board's logo. Effective January 1 of 2025, SB 1526, the Senate Business, Professions, and Economic Development Committee's omnibus bill took effect. Among other things, this bill renamed the Veterinary Medicine Practice Act, the Veterinary Medical Board, and the Veterinary Medical Board Contingent Fund, adding the word California to each of those titles. The primary reason for the name change was to distinguish the board from other state veterinary medical boards. Also, it is common for regulatory boards to have the state name in the official agency name. In response to this, we reached out to DCA's Publications Design and Editing Office to update the board's logo. Instead of considering a complete redesign, we just asked that they either add the letter C, well, both add the letter C and the word California in front of the existing logo. They provided the, you'll see the two samples in the attachment, 1 and 2, and then our in-house graphic designer, Jessica Sieferman. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I was just making that up. We have a total of 4 samples for your consideration in the attachment. So with that, I will turn it over to you. Yeah, so we're open to either your feedback, or if you approve of any of the options provided, just we'll entertain a motion.
Right, so I guess we open it up for discussion. Board members, any comments? I like number, no. Let's go. Dr. Bradbury?
Okay, so I just wondered on number 3, is there supposed to be another gold line around that V like all the other Vs, or was that meant to
Yeah,
be?
no, there is. This was like a quick, because we got 2 options, we wanted a couple more, so we created 2 more options fairly quickly. But I also don't have the software that they did, so yes, there would be another gold line.
Okay. Well, ironically, I like 3 and 4, so that would be those are just my first impressions.
I guess comments first, and then we'll take a poll. Public comment?
Well, I think more discussion.
Yeah,
I like ours so much that number 2 is my favorite.
all right. You can also say if you don't like any of those. So.
I kind of like 3, actually. Does it take so long to figure out?
I'm partial to 2 and 3.
Yeah, I like 4. That's my favorite because it's completely different. I know, I just like something that's different. I think the C stands out. And so I really like 4. I like having the letters different colors. So I think that's why 1 is completely out because it's just kind of boring and they're all the letters the same. So I like 3, but I like when I like having the letters be different colors. So like it is now where the VMB is different colors and they all have a different shade of blue. So I like that. But 4 is my favorite.
You don't think 4 looks too much like the Chicago Cubs? with
Where
the
do you
broken
think it
baseball
came
bat?
from? Matt's not in the room. Oh wait, there he is. Whose idea was it? Right there. I know. I think it's good though. I like it because I think it's like here it is. It's different. I like different. And so yeah, I like the having the California right there. I think it stands out, but that's what I like.
Listening to everybody's preference, we're not going to get a vote. Right. Go ahead, Tara.
I'm actually looking at a black and white version of all of these, and I would say that number 4, that light blue has a tendency to become more of a circle where you can't really tell what the C is. No, I'm just saying when the board is reproducing documents and attaching them as,
Voted me out. You voted me off the island.
it was a consideration. Yeah, I'm just gonna say that the C really kind of vanishes in black and white.
So can I make us, can I offer Jessica's services again? What if, I'm sorry, what if the number 3 had the coloring of the board? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, with the different shades.
Yeah.
So we did try that. It
And it-
looked at that point too many different colors, like a
Oh.
rainbowish kind of style. That's why we opted for just 1 to be
Okay.
changed because we did try to take the current one and then just do one shade lighter or like play with it, but it
Right.
looked like a rainbow type.
Okay, yeah, then I
Yeah.
could see that. So then I would go, I mean, then I would choose number 3.
Well, we're not
Kind of
voting.
boring, but
Are we opening it for public
Well,
comment?
you probably should have a
motion?
motion first.
Okay, so does anybody want to make a motion? Dr. Bradbury's hand is up.
It's down again.
Oh, it's
I was
down
just going
again.
to say that I, looking at it a little bit further, I like the number 2 because of how kind of compact it is too, and it has like the kind of the shape of it, and so that was not a motion though. I think 2 or 3, yeah, is now where I'm at.
Any motion?
And you want to keep in mind that you keep it like it'll go on board letterhead, it'll go on our website. So it's going to go various different ways, different outreach materials. It'll go on our signature blocks. So just keep that in mind.
Actually, I'm looking at more of number 3. Number 2, my consideration there is that because there's 2 line, the text has 2 lines. So I'm thinking it looks much more leaner if it's just 1 line. That's why my preference is number 3.
uh-oh, number 3 looks like comb.
Hmm?
You can't unsee it now.
Right.
Number 1.
Let's just go back to the
No,
original.
I like 3 the best. I still like 3 the best because it's cleaner. I like the coloring. I still like 4, but Tara voted me off the island.
All right, a motion. Yeah.
All right,
Well,
I'll make a
like I said,
motion.
I prefer 2 and 3, but if I had to choose between the 2 of them, I prefer 2. Just because it's more compact. We're at 50-50.
Well, let's make a motion for number 2 and see if we can pass it. I'll make that motion.
All second.
All right, we're opening it up for public comment.
Yep.
Okay, so moderator, if you could please open up the line for public comment regarding this agenda item.
Absolutely. We are now open for public comment on the logo. If you'd like to make a comment, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users, dial *3 to raise your hand. And as a reminder to our mobile device users, you may need to hit the ellipses button. That's the ... in order to find your hand. And first, we're going to call on Nancy Ehrlich. Hold on just a moment, please. We're sending you a request to unmute your microphone.
Oh, excuse me.
All right, we're going to try again with Nancy. Hold on just a moment, please. All right, we're going to skip Nancy for just a moment, and we're going to move on to Mark Noonan. Oh, hold on. We've got Nancy.
Okay, I like number 2. I kind of, when Christy mentioned comb, that really hit me. It's like that CVFD kind of looks like.
I did it. I did it. I'm sorry.
All right. Is that it, Nancy?
Yep.
All right, thank you so much. Next, we're going to hear from Mark Nunez. Hold on just a moment, please. We're sending you a request to unmute your microphone.
I like number 2. I think number 4 looks like it was painted by Fernando Botero. If you don't know who that is, look it up. It just looks like a Botero picture. So I vote for number 2.
All right, thank you very much. And those are our only requests for public comment.
All right, thank you. Now,
Madam President,
go ahead.
you
Dr.
said this logo is going to go on letterheads and it's not going to go on sweatshirts, is it? Yeah, I just wondered how it stretches across the front of a sweatshirt, chest level.
All right, I guess we're done with public comments, and now we move on to the motion that's on the table.
Or number 2, Ms. Pulowski. Is that a no?
I'm gonna abstain on the logo. I want to go with the majority of what everybody wants. So, you know, I know I want 4. I mean, I want 3. But this is the hardest vote of the day.
Oh my goodness.
Do you want me to go to the next person? Dr. Bradbury?
Yes.
Mr. Espinoza?
Yes.
Dr. Grant?
Yes.
Dr. Maniac?
Yes.
Dr. Solocito?
Yes.
Okay, then yes.
Carries. Congrats, we have a new logo. Yeah. You abstained, yeah. Or you're changing it to yes? Okay, changing it to yes.
All right, moving on. Let's continue with agenda item 22. Thank you.
Yes. Did I get it? Okay.
Good afternoon, Madam President and all members of the board. I just want to say thank you for the icebreaker before I do my presentation and my updates. My name is Alicia Hernandez. I am the Administrative and Licensing Manager. I will be providing you with some updates on admin and licensing. Our staff updates. In January, the board hired Amelia Gutierrez to fill its vacancy enforcement technician position. Prior to accepting the position, Ms. Gutierrez has been a seasonal clerk with the enforcement program since June of 2024, where she assisted with complaint intake duties. Ms. Gutierrez will primarily be responsible for all the board contracts and invoice processes. In February, Dustin Garcia left the board to pursue a promotional position with the Department of Consumer Affairs, Bureau of Automotive Repair. Pardon me. In March, Ally Sultanzana left the board to pursue a promotional position with the Department of DCA, Office of Information Security. Also in March, Jeff Ogwin left the board to pursue a promotional position with the Department of General Services. As part of the budget letter issued by the Department of Finance on August 20th, 2024, this position was identified to be eliminated for the board position authority once vacated. Therefore, it will not be fulfilled and eliminated with the board's budget and position authority on July 1st. The board continues working with the DCA, Office of Human Resources, to fulfill outstanding vacancies. Staff training. As a part of the strategic plan, in March, all available board staff attended an all-person training and team meeting, which was presented by Solid, and individual training. Between January 1st and March 31st, all board staff completed 19 required 2025 annual trainings. Those can be reflected on page 1 of the memo, the 19 listed trainings. Next topic is the California Governor's Executive Order. On March 3rd, California Governor Newsom issued the Executive Order N2225, mandating all agencies and departments subject to his authority implement a hybrid telework policy with a default minimum of 4 days in office effective July 1st. This too was also discussed in the March all staff meeting. Updates on the wellness program. The wellness program meets every January, June, and October. However, since there was no new participants, we will not be holding the meeting scheduled for June 2025. At this time, I would like to hand it over to Karen Munoz of the Budget Office to complete the admin report for the budget, projection reports, and fund condition.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you for having me. My name is Karen Munoz, and I'm the DCA Budget Officer. And I wanted to thank the board and the executive staff for having me present on agenda item. I'm showing 24A. This is 24 or 22? 22A, which includes the board's expenditure projections and fund condition statement. First, I'm going to start with the board's expenditure attachment 2 of your materials. These projections are based on actual data through fiscal month 8. The report includes prior year 23-24 actual expenditures, as well as current year budgeted and projected expenditures, which are blue and orange. As you move to the end of the document, you will see that the board has a beginning base budget of 8.4, close to $8.5 million, and is projected to spend just over 8.25, creating a reversion to the board's fund of approximately 194,000, which is a percentage of 2.29 in reversion. The next document I'll be going over in the board's revenue projections, attachment 3 of your materials. This report includes receipts collected through February and projected revenue to the end of the year. I'll go further into these projections as we transition to the next slide. Projections is based on trends in the board's budget and evaluating prior actual figures. And again, I'll go over those when we see that slide. The next slide, attachment 4 of your materials, is the board's fund condition statement. As a reminder, we read this document from top to bottom and then left to right. The left column is the board's prior year 23-24 actuals. I know that those numbers have been gone over, so I won't go into detail on those, and we'll just skip to current year. So for your current year, 24-25, the board projects revenues of just over 8.6 million, or just over 1.7 million projected from initial licensing fees, approximately 6.4 million for renewal fees, 539,000 from the issuance of citations, fines, delinquent fees, and other revenues. The board's 24-25 expenditures are currently based on the governor's budget with fiscal month 8 projections at about 8.4 million between authorized expenditures and direct draws to the fund, leaving the board with a fund balance of just over 10 million, or 12.3 months in reserve. The budget office will continue to monitor the board's revenue and expenditures and report back to you with monthly expenditures projections as they continue to close fiscal months in the current fiscal year. Few things to note for the board's fund condition is that the fund condition is a snapshot in time. One of the main factors driving expenditure increases in future years is a result of personal service adjustments. These include general salary increases as well as employee compensation and retirement rate adjustments. The budget office also includes a conservative ongoing 3% increase to expenditures on the fund condition statement to account for these incremental adjustments. You will also notice revenue is projected static in the out years. And lastly, I would like to note that the board that any future legislation or unanticipated events could result in the board's need for additional resources, which could create cost pressures on the fund. The budget office will continue to monitor the board's fund condition statement and keep the open line of communication with board executive staff for future needs or expectations. If you have any questions, that ends my presentation, so let me know, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you have.
Does anybody, any board member has any questions with regards to the budget?
Thank you so much for the presentation. I just really wanted to give kudos and great appreciation to Matt Nishimi when it came to the fee structure that we came up with. He gave a couple models based on our guidance, and after we reviewed those, we asked him to do 2 more, and he did it so quickly, and it was so helpful. So we just really wanted to extend our thanks to all the work and all the quick work that he did for us. So thank you.
Thank you, appreciate that. We have Matt Nishimini and Sam Dyer, who is working really hard on these fee requests from the boards. So thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. I guess we continue with the next item.
Perfect, thank you.
All right.
Okay, so the next agenda item is 22B, the examination and licensing report. ICVA has disseminated many announcements and have been included in the memo, which can be referenced on page 1. AAVSB, which is referenced on page 2 of the memo, the administrators of the VTNE, the AASB mission is to support and advance the regulation of veterinary medicine. Since the last board meeting, the AAVSB disseminated the following announcements. Program of the assessment of the VTNE, Program Assessment of the Veterinary Education Equivalence PAVE. On February 24th of 2025, the AAVSB Board of Directors announced its decision to discontinue the PAVE for Veterinary Technicians Program. The AAVSB cited significantly lower participation than expected and reduction in the program's demand for the pathway, coinciding with an increase in distance education available for the veterinary technology programs as reasons for the decision. The announcement is also attached in the reference on page 2. At this time, I would like to turn it over to Jessica Sifferman, Executive Officer, who will provide an update on the NAVLE VTNE retake policy.
All right, so this will be relatively quick, but ICB and AAVSB both have a retake policy where they allow 5 attempts to take the national exam. This is based on a lot of data that they have and standards of practice for national examinations through the psychometricians. And the data actually supported 3 attempts, and after 3 attempts, the odds of those individuals being successful are very, very low. And the more attempts that you have someone take the exam, not only are they less successful, but the risk for exam subversion also increases. And so there is a lot of reasons why you would want to deny after that third attempt, and they extended it to the 5 attempts. What was happening though is that they had this retake policy, and the retake policy said we'll allow 5 attempts, but if there's another board that will say that they'll accept the exam after that 5th attempt, then they'll be allowed to take the exam again. Most states, like California, don't have any requirements when it comes to exam eligibility. All of our requirements are tied to the license requirements for the all the requirements for it in order to get a license, not the exam. We're out of the exam eligibility realm. But what was happening is there would be a form that would be sent to our team, and then our team would look at it. These individuals oftentimes never even filed an application with us, but we would spend time with what these individuals are submitting and then ask us to fill out this form and submit it to ICVA or AAVSB. And the form would essentially say that we accept the exam score after that 5th attempt, which by law, because the law only requires a passing score, not the number of attempts to take, we would say, yes, we accept a passing score. But they were then essentially using the states who accept a passing score period, regardless of the number of attempts, as a way to circumvent the policy and the best standards and examinations of not allowing more than 5 attempts. This takes staff time and also often they never actually apply with the board. And so because we're not required to be doing this form or offering this service, we have stopped doing that service and letting AAVSB and ICVA know that our laws are silent when it comes to exam eligibility. We rely on them to determine exam eligibility, and we are no longer be completing any forms. So just wanted to let everybody know. So hopefully there's no more circumvision through California to take this exam.
Just to clarify, so we're going to follow AAVSB's policy with regards that if they have taken it more than 5 times, they're not.
So it's both. So AAVSB does the VTNE and ICVA does the NAVLE, and they have their own. If they are reviewing it, they review certain. I think if candidates did additional education, or they'll tell the 2 programs what they've done to show that they'll be more successful in the repeated attempts, and they decide if they are ready to take it again, or if no, they're not going to do it anymore. And so they're the experts, and we feel like they should stay the experts.
Okay, we will honor their.
We're going to, yeah, whatever they decide, that's what we support.
Okay.
Okay, so moving right along on to the licensing update, which is a reference on page 3 of the memo. Board applications received, comparing board applications received through Q3 fiscal year 24-25 to those received in Q3 fiscal year 23-24, there was a decrease from 3,369 to 3,057. Although the total number of applications received decreased in the year-to-date comparison of fiscal year 24-25 to fiscal year 23-24 through Q3, the number of veterinary applicants received slightly increased from 574 to 606. Remaining licenses types saw decreases in applications received. RVTs 756 to 662, HSPs from 315 to 262, VAPs 1,695 to 1,526, and universities from 29 to 11. Overall, the number of applications received for Q3 24-25 decreased by approximately 9% compared to Q3 of fiscal year 23-24. License registrations and permits issued. Board licenses, registrations, and permits issued through Q3 fiscal year 24-25 also decreased with compared to the number issued through Q3 23-24 from 22,854 to 2,634. Licenses, registrations, and permits issued decreased across all license types when comparing the year-to-date data from fiscal year 24-25 to fiscal year 23-24 by approximately 8%. Applications pending, overall pending applications decreased from 857 to 608 when comparing data from the end of Q4 24-25 to fiscal year 23-24. The amounts to a 24% decrease in pending applications through the quarter of the fiscal year. Our licensee population, the board's total licensed population rose from 45,836 to 47,534 when comparing the licensed populations at the end of the quarter 3 fiscal year 23-24 to that of quarter 3 24-25. The board saw increases in the populations of all license types. From a percentage standpoint, the highest population increase was VAX from 12,928 to 14,040, a 9% increase. Following is the Service Members Civil Relief Act, SCRA, which California implemented the recognition of federal SCRA via Senate Bill 143, which went into effect September 13th, 2023. SB 143 requires California to recognize out-of-state licenses, registrations, and permits issued to members of the U.S. Armed Forces and their spouses for same license types issued within the state. Since its implementation, the board has received 6 applications and recognized 1 out-of-state veterinarian and 1 out-of-state RVT. That concludes the agenda items for 22B. Is there any questions or comments?
And Pat, that was the what we were talking about yesterday when you asked about who's authorized to do it but not licensed. It's under the Service Member Civil Relief Act.
Okay. Any comments with regards to agenda 22B? Okay, I guess we can move on to.
Good job.
Thank you so much, Alicia. Public comment. Yeah, we would like to open the floor for public comment with regards to agenda 22B. Moderator, could you please open the line for our participants?
This is for 22A and 22B.
We are open for public comment on 22A and B. If you'd like to make a comment, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users dial *3 to raise your hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take just a few. Our first comment is coming from Nancy Ehrlich. Hold on just a moment, please.
Hello. I have a question about the VA CSP. Apparently, the VA CSPs are increasing more than RVT or DVM licenses. And at the previous day, we've been told that VA CSP holders are more likely to have had criminal records and more likely to have disciplinary action from the board. And I was wondering if there's any consideration to look into this. Is this really a problem that we're having people with criminal records having access to restricted drugs? That's my question.
All right, thank you. And that was our only request for public comment at the moment.
All right, thank you. Now we're moving on to agenda item 22C.
Okay, all right. Hello, everyone. So Patty is not here today, so it's just going to be me and Ashley doing the enforcement report. Hopefully that's okay. So we'll just switch back and forth, and then I think Ashley's going to start with the inspections portion of it.
All right, so for inspections, as part of the board's ongoing research efforts, an inspection webinar was held on January 28th. The webinar featured a presentation by the California Board of Pharmacy on misbranding. And this webinar was well received and well attended with just over 200 attendees. The next webinar will feature the California Department of Justice and will be having staff from the Cures who will be presenting information regarding Cures requirements in veterinary medicine. The webinar is scheduled for May 6th. Board inspectors have been utilizing iPads and the mobile inspection application as they conduct their inspections. The board has transitioned to the maintenance and operations phase and have been exploring improvements as the inspectors use the application in the field. On February 11th, board staff held a quarterly roundtable meeting for inspectors. Much like the quarterly subject matter expert roundtable meetings, these meetings provide inspectors and staff the opportunity to discuss any upcoming changes, issues that arise in the field, and any necessary updates. During the roundtable meetings, the mobile inspection application information was discussed extensively. Staff have been working on the inspection subcommittee or with the inspection subcommittee on updating the hospital standard self-evaluation checklist. Extensive revisions have been made to the 2017 document. Checklists have been drafted for small animal, mobile, and vaccination clinics. The drafts will be reviewed by legal prior to being submitted to the publication design editing team to draft the revised checklist.
All right, and then a quick update on intake. So we have just pulled out some stats for intake. It looks like during the last meeting, we had about 9-day cycle time. Our target cycle time is 10 days, and it has dropped since then to 7 days. But the thing to note, and I think I mentioned this during every meeting, is that those numbers are pulled off of closed cases. So the current intake team, likely since our cases are several years old that are most likely getting closed, didn't have any interaction with these numbers. I did just now run a report just to give us year to date as far as the cycle times of what intake is actually doing, and they're at about 3 days. So they're doing a fantastic job. No notes. The other piece of this is that you will see that we did have a higher than normal, it's not too high, 14 cases pending at the end of, well, I guess the most recent month on the stats. But that's because we had a Saturday, Sunday, and then a holiday on Monday. So we basically had 3 days worth of complaints come in, and then that was the end of the month. So they immediately processed those complaints, I think, the next day, or it might have been the day after. So intake has been doing a fantastic job when it comes to processing these complaints, and then also dealing with the stakeholder inquiries. We call them. We don't want to use the acronym because then it kind of jinxes it, and we get an inquiry about that. But they've been fantastic about getting on all the complaints and handling all the inquiries. So kudos to intake.
And with investigations, board staff continues to focus on reducing the pending complaint backlog. At the end of February, the board had 3,469 cases pending, and board staff is averaging about 10 case closures per month per analyst. As previously reported at the end of fiscal year 23-24, the board received 1,873 new complaints, which was a slight increase from the previous fiscal year. Based upon the numbers of complaints received so far in fiscal year 24-25, it appears the board will receive just under 2,100 complaints at the end of the fiscal year. Projections indicate the board staff will close approximately 2,200 complaints during fiscal year 24-25, which is setting another record for case closures.
And then just another quick footnote on the investigations, and it's not noted here, but last month we did close 200 cases, which I believe is probably our second highest month ever. There is another one on there, I think at the beginning of the year, that was like 230 or 235, whatever it may be, but quite a few cases closed last month. So a pretty solid month for the team. So great job, team. Next up is subject matter expert program. I believe Ms. Essery went through each of these bullet points, so I don't want to really delve into these too much. I will note that after the quarterly expert roundtable, I did send out an email which covered most of these items and then a few other topics that were discussed. I think it was really important because we try to accommodate our experts' schedules so that they can attend these quarterly roundtables, because I think they're really valuable. But those that can't attend, they'll ask about it being recorded and whatnot. But I think the email was really helpful. I did get several phone calls and emails just for clarification on my email. So it shows me at least they're reading it and they have questions. So it kind of gives them another avenue to inquire about, the review process and ask those questions if they can't attend, unfortunately. So I'll continue to do that. And I think it's so far these roundtables have been really valuable, I think, for both the consultants and the experts.
All right, and for probation, the probation monitors are actively investigating 24 pending enforcement complaints against 11 probationers. Since October 2024's board meeting, the probation monitors have closed 22 complaint investigations. And so that's about, they've closed about half of what was open in October 2024. So I think that's pretty good there, moving along. And let's see. Currently, we have 2 petitions for early termination, and we have 1 petition for reinstatement that are pending with the probation unit. And since our last update, we had 2 licensees begin probation, which brought our number of probationers to 56, and 7 of which of those are told. And for our disciplinary action vote results, we have those on this document as well. For stipulated settlements, for Taya Henderson, we had adopted. For proposed decisions, we had Sonia Amador, which was held for discussion, Brian Kemmerer, which was adopted, and the petition decision for Dr. Jeff Blea was adopted. We also have enforcement statistics that are on attachment 1 at the end of the document.
Happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you so much for your report. It just shows how hard you guys have been working. The numbers are looking great.
Thank
Like those are the things that we seem to be hearing about, with some constituents when they have not heard back about their cases, or like the backlog. Why does the board have so much cases that are still, being worked on? But I just see the trajectory that we've been having. Good job, guys.
Thank you.
It's amazing work.
Yeah, well done. Thank you guys very much for your hard work. It's very much appreciated. And I know it's not it's not necessarily appreciated by all. So we do appreciate it. So
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I would have to say the subject matter expert engagement that you guys are having, I think it really benefits the board a lot, because, having our subject matter experts really like aligned with like what the board is trying to do, and also leveling like expectations of what we really need out from our subject matter experts. So I really think that's such a great initiative from you guys.
Can I just add that working with you, Ashley, on the inspection checklist, you are so full of knowledge, and I have appreciated your quiet, but you just speak when you have something to say, and I appreciate it. And I hope to hear more from you, because you're very like your golden knowledge. Just it's perfect. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Christy.
Any other comments from our board? We continue. Okay, so there's no public members in the room. So a moderator, can you please open the line for public comment for those participating remotely?
Absolutely. We are open for public comment on agenda item 22C. If you'd like to make a comment, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users dial *3 to raise your hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. As a reminder to our mobile device users, you may need to hit the ellipses button, that's the ... in order to find your hand. Seeing no request for public comment, do you wish to continue?
Yes, please. All right, moving on to agenda item 22D.
Okay, this is the outreach report, item 22D. On page 1, we mention, well, I'll preface this by saying a lot of what you see on the first 3 pages has to do with our outreach that we do on our various platforms, our email listserv platform, social media, and our website. So that's what you mainly see on the first 3 pages, and then we have some additional items on page 4. So the first item on page 1 has to do with there was an FDA letter to veterinarians issued in January regarding the adverse events reported in dogs treated with Librela. That same month, we sent out a listserv to our email subscribers, posted that letter on our website, and also referenced it on our social media platforms, pointing our viewers to that letter. In summary, the letter's intent was to notify veterinarians about the adverse events reported on the FDA's Center for Veterinary Medicine's evaluation of adverse events reported in dogs of various sizes treated with Librela. The letter provided information on Librela's use, approved use, and resources on steps to take following an adverse event for a patient treated with Librela, and information on adverse events reported to the FDA. The letter also included contact information for the CVM. The next item has to do with a waiver that was issued by the Board of Pharmacy in response to the Southern California wildfires and Governor Gavin Newsom's proclamation of a state of emergency. The Board of Pharmacy issued a waiver allowing manufacturers, wholesalers, or third-party logistics providers to deliver dangerous drugs and dangerous devices to alternate locations other than an address of record. Veterinarians were informed that they were not required to change their address of record in order to receive these products. The waiver became effective January 10th and expired on February 9th. And again, this was also put out on our social media platforms and posted on our website as well. The next item at the bottom of page 1 talks about the misbranded drugs webinar that the board provided on January 24th. During the webinar, board inspectors were joined by representatives from the California State Board of Pharmacy to discuss misbranded drugs in veterinary medicine. We had approximately 250 attendees participate in the webinar, and we also issued 190 continuing education certificates to eligible attendees. A link to this webinar is also available on our website. The next item.
Sorry, just
sorry.
real quick.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. Just to let the board know, right after that, we got a lot of kudos from CVMA with how well the webinar was, and really appreciated all of Dr. Howard's knowledge and expertise on the presentation, and asked for Dr. Howard to come and give a presentation during PACVET, because there's a lot of misunderstandings when it comes to misbranded drugs and how to identify that. And so they did extend an invite there. So I think that's really, really great to know.
Great. The next item at the top of page 2 has to do with an executive order deferring renewal fees for licensees impacted by the Los Angeles fires. On February 3rd, 2025, the board informed its email subscribers that Governor Newsom issued Executive Order N-1525, which postpones for 1 year the license renewal fees for DCA licenses that expire between January 1 and June 30th, and for licensees whose residential or business addresses were within the impacted zip codes. Upon renewal, licensees eligible for the fee postponement will renew with no payment due. This year's renewal fees will automatically be postponed to 2026. And again, this information was made available on our Facebook and X platforms. In addition, the board made an extra effort. Our staff reached out directly to impacted licensees via email, telephone, and regular mail, and informed them about the fee postponement. The next item on page 2, notice of cures fee increases. On March 13th, the board informed its email subscribers and social media followers that the cures fee cures fee would increase from $9 to $15 annually for licenses expiring on and after July 1, 2025, and that most licensees would see a $30 cures fee due to the biennial renewal cycle. So let's see what else. So we made that information available on our website as well. Additionally, it was suggested that we ask the associations to also get the word out about the fee increase. We asked CVMA, and CARB to share this information with its membership via their website, social media platforms, and email. The next item at the bottom of page 2, Dr. Solicito made reference to it in your report. Saturday, March 22nd, Dr. Solicito and Executive Officer Jessica Sieferman attended CVMA's Board of Governors, and I think you provided a pretty detailed summary of what was discussed during that meeting, so I won't be redundant. Bottom of page 2, CDFA adopts commercial animal blood banking regulations. On April 3rd, the board shared an announcement with its email subscribers and social media followers that the California Department of Food and Agriculture okay. Apparently I'm getting lost here. Sorry. We put an announcement regarding the regulations. Their new regulations establish a clear regulatory framework for operating commercial animal blood banks in California. These regulations, which go into effect on July 1, will define licensing, registration, reporting, and fee requirements to ensure that animal blood and blood component products are safe, effective, and produced in a humane manner. Also, in response to the Southern California wildfires, we reported additional information to the department's Office of Public Affairs. All of these additional efforts are listed there in the bullet points. I don't know if you want to mention anything else, Jessica, with regard to that. No. In the enforcement report, they made reference to the upcoming CURES webinar. Again, that will be on May 6th. We will be putting out an additional announcement, getting the word out. That will be held between 11 and 1 o'clock, I believe. And again, representatives from DOJ will be available to discuss CURES reporting requirements, and 2 hours of CE credit will again be provided to eligible attendees. So probably see a couple of additional announcements coming out regarding that webinar. On page 4 of the memo, we reference some additional efforts that correspond with some of our strategic plan updates. The first item mentioned on page 4 has to do with unlicensed veterinary practice outreach materials. Strategic plan objective 5.1 states the objective is educate consumers on how to recognize unlicensed veterinary practice so they make informed decisions. As a part of that objective, the outreach subcommittee was tasked with exploring the feasibility of staffing booths at animal shows and creating outreach materials for consumers. On January 22nd, the outreach subcommittee and board staff met with a veterinarian who had previously raised concerns about unlicensed practice occurring at dog shows. Specifically, the veterinarian reported unlicensed individuals are offering and providing reproductive services at dog shows without a veterinarian or veterinarian supervision. The subcommittee is working on drafting materials for consumer education and dog show organizers. Additionally, on March 21st and 22nd, subcommittee member Kathy Bowler and the board's executive officer attended a local dog show to learn more about the setup, the audience, and in various ways the board could disseminate information to consumers. And I don't know if you have any more on that. No. Okay, the next item, licensure exemptions in Business and Professions Code, Section 4827, Strategic Plan Objective 4.3. As mentioned yesterday, on March 10th, the board's unlicensed practice subcommittee held stakeholder meetings with representatives from various branches of the veterinary industry, including food animals, shelters, and polo events and horse shows to better understand their experience with unlicensed practice. On March 17th, the subcommittee held a meeting with the California Cattlemen's Association to discuss unlicensed practice observations in their area of practice. And lastly, strategic plan objective 5.6, inspection process video. On March 14th, board staff, a board inspector, and DCA's OPA met at a registered veterinary premises to create a video providing an overview of the inspection process. The intent of the video is to increase licensee understanding and compliance with inspections and will be posted on the board's website once complete. And that concludes the outreach report, unless there are any questions.
You guys are not busy at all. I can tell, but this is just amazing information. And I would have to say, this just shows the staff's commitment to, especially with our strategic plan. You guys are being very diligent in making sure that we're, getting our tasks done. And guys, I have to give Jessica kudos. You and your team, you just work hard. And this is one thing that I want, if there's anybody listening to the public, this team, this office, there's so much work that is being done. And I don't think it's recognized at all. They think that it's all about complaints and licenses, but there's so much work that has been accomplished. And I just wanted to give you guys kudos and thank you. So anybody else?
I second that.
Any other comments? Do we open or continue? Okay, so I guess we're opening again. Nobody's in the room, so moderator, can you please open line for public comment for those participating remotely?
WebEx is now open for public comment on 22D. This is outreach. If you'd like to make a comment, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. For our mobile device users, you may need to hit the ellipses button. That's the ... and cycle through the 3 different pages in order to find your hand. We don't have any call-in users anymore, so let's wait just a few seconds to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request for public comment, do you wish to continue with the agenda?
Yes, please. Thank you. All right. So next item is Agenda 22, item E, strategic plan. Or is that part of the?
That's me.
Okay, go ahead.
Just waiting for Justin to be able to flip the slide. All right, thank you. Okay, so for the strategic plan, it's been reported on quite a bit, but just to give an overview, we adopted this after the board adopted the strategic plan. Staff with DCA's solid team created an action plan that identified 191 tasks to be completed in the 4-year period. We attached the strategic plan tracker with the most current updates from the strategic plan. There's a total of 191. So as of March 27, 2025, we've completed 46% of the objectives and 68% of the tasks. We prioritize completing objectives and tasks by target completion dates outlined in the strategic plan objective tracker. If there's any questions about anything in there, happy to go over that. Wasn't planning on going through the tracker item by item, but you can see we're making significant progress. And in the last meeting, we had some dates in there that were red. There were dates that we missed those, maybe not hit the, finish that task by the target completion date. So we've updated them. We're now back on track with everything. Outstanding is not past due. So I think that's a good update. And we're going to, our plan is not to update it again. We're going to try to keep those target dates going forward for the rest of them. So thank you.
Okay, any comments for our board with regards to the strategic plan? Again, great job. You guys make us look really good by getting all the tasks done way ahead of time. So Okay, so if there are no comments from our board members, moderator, if you could please open the line for public comment for those participating remotely.
We are open for public comment on 22E. This is the strategic plan. If you'd like to make a comment, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Mobile device users may need to hit the ellipses button, that's the ... and we will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take just a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request for public comment, do you wish to continue with the agenda?
Yes, please. Thank you. So now we are moving on to agenda item 23 for future agenda items and next meeting dates.
So members, posted online are our 2025 meeting dates that are left. We have July 16th and 17th, and then October 15th and 16th. And then if members recall, we set the 2026 calendar as well. That's January 21st, 22nd, April 15th and 16th, July 15th and 16th, October 14th and 15th. And then for future agenda items coming in July, we'll be looking at, in addition to our standard items, hopefully have CCR 2068.5, the RVT alternate pathway regulation coming back with the recommendations from the board from yesterday regarding the checklist itself. And we are still hoping to have a demo from HCI, that's the government agency who collects demographic data and has been collecting demographic data on our licensees and other DCA licensees at the time of renewal. We're hoping that they are able to come at the next meeting. I've extended and I met a few times, and I think that we're just it's just been a challenge, but hopefully they'll come soon. But with that, we'll open up to anyone else who has future agenda items they'd like.
Okay, Dr. Maniak.
So one thing I'd like to bring up, since joining this board and prior to that serving as a case reviewer, I've consistently seen one recurring issue at the center of many complaints, which is record keeping. Too often we find ourselves questioning the validity, completeness, or timing of medical records. In some cases, it's unclear whether notes were made legibly or at all at the time of treatment or only after a complaint was filed. That ambiguity not only complicates investigations, but also undermines public trust. To address this, I propose we consider amending the Veterinary Practice Act to include the following: a requirement for electronic medical record keeping, 2, mandatory date and time stamping for all entries, and 3, a locking mechanism such as a certain amount of time after discharge of a patient so that records cannot be altered indefinitely. I do recognize some of the concerns that will be raised. Many of our colleagues are still using paper records, and rural practices often face technological barriers to adopting digital systems. These are valid points. However, the advancement of mobile cell service over the last decade makes the technological barriers very infrequent, and the 72-hour window allows, or any amount of time that we decide on will allow flexibility, giving practitioners time to enter records from a location with access. Furthermore, I believe that at some point we must recognize electronic record keeping as a standard of care, and I think that time has come. This is a forward-thinking but necessary step to protect both licensees and the public, and allows our board staff and reviewers to do their jobs more efficiently. And I look forward to our discussion. Thank you.
All right, anybody else has any? Okay, Dr. Bradbury.
Hi. So I wanted to just address the public comment from last meeting, since I don't think we talked about it when I was reading the minutes. There was a gentleman that made a comment. He was a realtor, and he wasn't aware that records were required and that he had the right to access to the records. And I didn't want that comment to just go by the wayside. I know that we already, require various things at the front desk or in the lobby, but I think it is something to consider that there's some notice that records are available upon request or something. If uh, other professions are able to require that as well, or at least just a discussion about it. I just didn't want their concerns and comments to go unheard.
Well, can we refer that to the MDC to look into that and find out is that something you're saying, Dr. Bradbury?
I would defer to what the executive committee thinks is best for that. I just wanted to bring it up and let them know that they were heard, and I don't think it's an unreasonable request.
Thank you for that, Dr. Bradbury. So the caller had said that they would have liked to have known that they had a right to get a copy of the records. And I think the part of the confusion too is that consumers currently actually don't have a right to the copy of the records. That's the legislative proposal that we're asking for the legislature to change to where they do get a copy of their records. They have a right to the summary of the record. And so we could do some outreach and go down that path of creating a notice requirement, which likely would have to be through legislation to require that. Or we could, and we could do that with the notice of the summary, or we could wait until the legislation goes through and is effective in January to then do that outreach, and then we can talk about an appropriate notice for that. But yeah, we can look into it.
Okay. Anybody else? Espinosa?
Yeah, just following up on Dr. Maniak's suggestion or request, is there a way that we could invite potentially impacted parties in to have that discussion with respect to his suggestions, just kind of hear what the input would be from various affected groups in terms of any thought moving forward in policy areas in this regard?
Yeah, that's something that the board could do at the board level, or typically when you want to have stakeholder engagement, you send it to the MDC and they will have stakeholder meetings to talk about, to get their input on. They did something similar when we were looking at the RVT education. They did it through unlicensed practice because we want to hear from stakeholders on what they're seeing in their various areas. And then with the RVT education, when they're looking at changing the out-of-state registrant path, they held stakeholder meetings to get input from those who would be impacted and then reported back. So you have various options. If you want to send it to the MDC to do that, they can, or we can just do it at the board level. It's up to the board.
Thank you.
Okay, I do have something. I want to revisit the conversation with the physical therapy group. I just feel like every single time there's this declaration that the board does not consider, their like their proposal, their recommendations, and every single time that they come up with that, the board's response is always, yeah, we considered, but it's a no. I'm just thinking, um, there to try to explore, has there anything that has changed, from the time that this was brought up, especially with, I was thinking, how they were asking for data, like what is the basis for, like us saying no. At the same time, I want to ask them for some data about, like the question that they have about the demand for animal physical rehabilitation. What does that demand look like? Are we getting thousands of pet owners requesting and they are not getting, the response from the veterinary community, because we do have a lot of practitioners that are offering similar services. So I kind of feel like, should we revisit this? I guess hopefully, if, you know, like just like the conversation that we have with the chiropractors, it seems like it's a different tone, simply because the chiropractors have been presenting to us a structure that they have. So I don't know. I just feel like it has become, I mean, all the years that I've been on the board, I've been hearing the same statement that the board is not responsive, the board is not considering it. So I guess I'm thinking, let's revisit the conversation, and if it's a no, it's a no.
Dr. Bradbury.
Dr. Bradbury?
Hey, so I feel what you're saying, because I sometimes uh I just don't like the whole, well, we've said no this far and we're gonna keep saying no, and I so I understand what you're saying. The one thing that might be helpful to this board is um some presentation on what the task force decided on. It was in 2017. I actually reviewed some of that before this meeting, looked at the meeting notes as best I could for their three task force meetings, looked at the board votes and such. But none of us were on the board at the time of that task force. And there is a statement that continues to be made that the board, like the task force, made this recommendation and the board just never agreed to it. And, I think some data from that would also be helpful if you do revisit it. So I think Dr. Nunez was the chair of that. So I think it would be good to have, if we do have that revisited, we have somebody who was, both sides of that, because I think some of this is an interpretation, but none of us were part of that. And I know that they do have many people that have participated in our we've had special meetings about this, and there have been many people that have participated and people who've signed petitions uh, that have stated that they have had a difficult time finding physical therapy, or were in support of this. So that's my 2 cents for those people who have not been a part of this earlier. um,
Yeah, I guess that's the intent of why I want it revisited, because it seems like there's a lot of information that we as a board cannot stand by if we don't really know what the conversations were. So I think it's important to kind of find out really why we're in this situation, why this conversation is not getting resolved. All right, so no public in the room. Moderator, can you please just open the line for public comment for those participating remotely?
We are open for public comment on future agenda items and next meeting dates. If you'd like to make a comment, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Mobile device users, you may need to hit the ellipses button, that's the ... in order to find your hand. We're going to take a few seconds to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request for public comment, do you wish to continue?
Yes, please, thank you.
I would just like to say thank you to Dr. Grant. This is it. Thank you for everything that you've brought and everything that you've taught to us. I've enjoyed this experience tremendously. We're going to miss you. So thank you very much.
All right, we would like to formally give this recognition for Dr. Grant. So we're presenting a plaque to Dr. Grant it's a resolution. Dr. Barry Grant, DVM, whereas Dr. Barry Grant served as a member of the California Veterinary Medical Board from February 15, 2023 to June 1st, 2025. And whereas the California Veterinary Medical Board recognizes and commends Dr. Barry Grant for his exemplary contributions and unwavering commitment during his tenure as a member of the board, the Multidisciplinary Advisory Committee, the Equine Practice Subcommittee, and the Unlicensed Practice Subcommittee. And whereas Dr. Barry Grant's distinguished service in these roles has significantly advanced our mission and vision, setting a high standard for those who follow in his footsteps. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the California Veterinary Medical Board and the Department of Consumer Affairs Director Kimberly Kirchmeier, by token of this resolution and on behalf of the state of California, express their deepest gratitude to Dr. Barry Grant for his wisdom, leadership, excellence, dedication, invaluable contribution, good looks, no, I'm sorry, an exemplary service during his term on the California Veterinary Medical Board, and be it further resolved that a suitably prepared copy of this resolution be presented to Dr. Barry Grant, subscribe this 15th day, or I guess 17th day of April 2025. Okay, signed by myself and Director Kirchmeier.
I knew it was AI generated.
Woohoo!
Unless there's like any reaction, comments, I guess we are now adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Bye.